almost died in the hospital, and my husband didn't care. As I coded, he texted, "Let me know when you're stable. I'm at dinner with Chloe." The nurse raised an eyebrow, and I smiled weakly, whispered, "Tell him Chloe can visit next time I'm in a coma." The room fell silent as my sister stormed in and threw his phone across the ICU. "My name's Marla Whitlow. I'm a 46-year-old nurse, and until last year, I thought I had a perfectly average life. Lived in a modest 2-story colonial in Weaverville, just outside Asheville. Quiet neighborhood. The kind where people wave from their porches and leave zucchinis on each other's doorsteps in summer. I had a husband, Ronan, who wore cufflinks to breakfast and drank scotch, even when we didn't have company. We'd been married 18 years. Long enough to fall into routines so deep, you forget you're walking in circles. We had 2 kids. Maya is 17, wicked smart, and a little too clever for her own good. Colin is 15 and talks mostly in grunts, but hugs me longer than he thinks I notice. I worked 3 to 4 shifts a week at the hospital in town, Mission Hospital, for anyone local. I loved my job. Still do. Taking care of others made sense to me. It was the rest of my life that didn't. That Monday started like any other. I worked a 12-hour shift, came home, reheated leftovers, and Ronan barely looked up from his laptop. Staff meeting ran late, he mumbled when I sat down across from him. I didn't ask for details. I never did anymore. "Eat something," I said, nudging the plate toward him. "Already did," he replied without looking. Something about the way he said it made my skin prickle, but I brushed it off. You don't want to believe your life is slipping. Not when you've built it brick by brick over nearly 2 decades. That night, I felt the fever coming on. Just a chill at first, then nausea. Head pounding. I figured it was the flu or maybe something from the ER. I took Tylenol and went to bed, leaving Ronan in the guest room again. We hadn't shared a bed in months. His back, he claimed. I believed him, or I pretended to. By Tuesday, I couldn't get out of bed. I tried, made it to the bathroom, and collapsed halfway back. My phone buzzed with messages from the hospital. Ronan popped his head in. "Still sick?" "Yeah," I whispered. "You should call out again." I did, I rasped. He disappeared before I could ask for help getting water. Wednesday morning, Maya found me. "Mom," she said, voice rising. "Mom, your lips are blue, Mom." I was vaguely aware of her on the phone. Then sirens. In the ER, I caught snippets. Septic shock. Critically low blood pressure. Renal failure. They pumped me full of fluids. I remember seeing the lights blur overhead as they wheeled me into ICU. Then black. I woke up to machines. So many machines. My mouth was dry, and something was in my throat. I tried to talk, but it came out garbled. A nurse leaned over me, gentle. "Hey there, Marla. You're in ICU, sweetie. You coded, but we brought you back." I blinked slowly. My hands trembled. "Do you want to know if someone's here?" I nodded. She glanced down at a note on her clipboard. "Your husband said, he's at dinner. He asked us to text him when you're stable." I stared at her. "He's at dinner?" I whispered. She hesitated, then gave a small shrug. "With someone named Chloe. Tell him Chloe can visit next time I'm in a coma," I croaked, forcing a smile. The nurse's face froze. Then she gave a stiff nod and walked out. 10 minutes later, I heard the door burst open. Tasha, my younger sister, strode in like she was ready to burn the place down. "What the hell, Marla? You died for 63 seconds and he's out with Chloe." "Tash, no. No, don't defend him." She was already rummaging through my bag. She pulled out Ronan's backup phone, he always left it in my purse, in case of emergency, and stared at the lock screen. There were dozens of unread messages. Dinner plans. Weekend trips. Pictures. Without a word, she hurled the phone against the wall. It exploded into pieces. The room went silent except for the rhythmic beep of my heart monitor. "I'm divorcing him," I whispered. "You will," she said, and sat down next to me, taking my hand. "But not today. Today you just live." When I was discharged 2 weeks later, it wasn't Ronan who picked me up. It was Tasha. She wheeled me out like I was her baby sister again and didn't say a damn word about what came next. She let me stay in her guest room while I got my strength back. Maya and Colin came over after school. Maya brought me ice chips and swore she'd drive me to court if I needed. Colin just laid his head on my shoulder and sat there for an hour without saying anything. That silence meant more than any apology Ronan ever gave me. He finally showed up on day 18. "Can we talk?" he asked from Tasha's porch. I stood behind the screen door, hands shaking. He looked Fine. In a navy coat, polished shoes, holding a coffee like it was just another Wednesday. You left me in the ICU, I said. You left your children wondering if I'd wake up. He sighed. I didn't know how bad it was. She said she called you. I was already at dinner. With her. He didn't respond. I want a divorce, Ronan. A muscle in his jaw twitched. You're emotional. No, I said. I'm finally sane. What came after was worse than any medical procedure. Asset division. Custody schedules. The kids chose me, of course. But he still fought me on everything. The house. The retirement. The car. And then there was Chloe. Blonde. 29. Worked in marketing. I didn't cheat, Ronan insisted during mediation. You just made reservations for 2 every night for 6 months? She listened to me. I laughed. Loud enough to startle the mediator. I listened to your work drama, your liver complaints, your mother's eulogy edits. I've been listening for 18 years. He looked away. I started rebuilding. At first, it was just routines. Get up, make coffee, try to eat something, go to PT, return calls from HR, relearn how to walk without getting winded. Then came little joys. A book on the nightstand, Tasha bringing over wine and a movie, Maya doing impressions of her chemistry teacher, Colin offering to help cook. I adopted a dog, Harlow. She was anxious and weird and had separation issues, perfect for me. And one night, while organizing bills, I found a letter. Handwritten. From Ronan. I didn't know how to say goodbye to the life we built. So I started building another one. I don't expect forgiveness. Just, thank you for saving me even when I didn't deserve it. I stared at it a long time. Then I fed it to the shredder. 3 months after the hospital, I finally went back to work half shifts at first. The smell of antiseptic and coffee hit me the second I walked into the hospital. Some part of me thought I'd feel scared walking into those halls again, but I didn't. I felt needed. Carla, one of the other nurses, gave me a long, tight hug. You look good. Less dead. I laughed for the first time in days. Still got that corpse chic going on. They gave me the quieter patients for a while. Nothing too intense. But I could feel my body waking up again, like every step I took in those rubber-soled shoes reminded me I hadn't disappeared. And then there was Daniel. He was a cardiologist, about 10 years older than me, salt and pepper hair, and a voice like a warm blanket. I'd seen him around before, but never paid him much attention. He passed me in the hallway one afternoon and did a double take. Marla, he said, surprised. Yeah? I thought you weren't coming back. I wasn't sure I would, I admitted. He gave me a kind smile. Glad you did. I didn't think much of it at the time. But later that week, he showed up in the break room with 2 coffees. I wasn't sure if you took sugar or not. I take it black, I said, taking the cup. But I appreciate the hell out of the offer. We talked for 15 minutes. About the hospital. His divorce. His teenage daughter who just got her license and scared him half to death. It felt good. Not flirtatious. Just good. I didn't tell Tasha about him right away. I knew she'd start planning the wedding before the second cup of coffee. Back home, things with the kids were complicated. Maya was angry in ways she didn't know how to say. One night, I found her in the kitchen, tearing up slices of bread and feeding them to Harlow. He's a coward, she said without looking at me. I didn't have to ask who. Maybe, I said. She turned around, eyes glossy. You almost died, Mom. And he was having fettuccine with a woman who posts selfies about finding her sparkle. I laughed despite myself. Yeah, she found it in my husband's pants. Maya snorted, then cried. I pulled her into a hug and just let her cry. She didn't talk after that, but the silence felt better. Warmer. Colin stayed quiet, but he started doing the dishes without being asked. One night, I caught him vacuuming my room. You okay, buddy? I asked, leaning against the doorframe. He didn't look up. I don't want you to die. I'm not dying. You almost did. I walked over and sat on the bed. I know. And it was scary. For all of us. He turned off the vacuum. I didn't like how it felt. I pulled him into a hug and kissed the top of his head. Me either. Tasha was my rock through all of it. But even rocks have opinions. So, she said one Saturday morning, stirring her coffee aggressively. Are we ignoring the fact that Dr. McDreamy has been sniffing around you like a bloodhound? Daniel's just nice. Oh, please. That man brings you coffee, waits for your breaks, and I saw him watching you walk to your car the other night. Subtle, he is not. I'm not ready, I said. Not for anything. Tasha shrugged. Then don't be. But don't write off good people just because you married a liar. That stuck with me. The first time I saw Ronan again outside court was at the grocery store. Ingalls, the one off Weaver Boulevard. He was standing in front of the frozen foods, looking at a bag of peas like it might reveal the secrets of the universe. I almost walked the other way. Almost. But something made me walk up. Peas are tricky, I said casually. He turned, startled. Marla. He looked thinner. Less polished. Like a man whose shirts hadn't been ironed in a while. Hi. You look good, he said, eyes scanning me. Alive, I said, and meant it. He nodded. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I am. Are you still with her? He hesitated. No, I wasn't surprised. Chloe seemed like the kind of person who liked shiny things. And Ronan, well, the shine wore off quick when you weren't making six figures and had to microwave your own dinner. We didn't talk long. I didn't want to. But as I walked away, I realized my heart wasn't racing. My hands weren't shaking. I was free. I didn't rush into anything with Daniel. But we did start having lunch together in the courtyard. Talking. Laughing. He never asked questions I wasn't ready to answer. He just listened. One day, as we were packing up our trays, he looked at me. I'm not asking for anything. I know you've been through hell. I raised an eyebrow. That's an understatement. He smiled. But if you ever want to see a movie with someone who won't fake a work call halfway through, I'm around. It took me a week. Then I sent him a text. Me, still up for that movie? Daniel, always. More life started trickling in. I repainted the kitchen. Yellow. The old color was too. His. The new one felt like sunshine. I took Maya college touring. Just the two of us. We stayed in a cheap motel and ate diner food. She fell asleep next to me with her head on my shoulder, like she used to when she was little. Colin started calling me Ma instead of Mom. I don't know why, but I liked it. Felt like something new. Something ours. But it wasn't all progress. There were nights I woke up gasping, tangled in the sheets, heart pounding. I'd dream I was back in that hospital bed, flatlining while Ronan sipped wine across town. Sometimes I'd catch my reflection in the bathroom mirror and wonder who the hell I was now. Sometimes grief isn't about death. It's about loss of illusions, of trust, of the version of your life you thought was real. But grief is also proof you cared. And maybe that's not something to be ashamed of. It was sometime around mid-November when the invitations started rolling in work events, neighbor potlucks, Maya's early graduation planning committee. Everyone assumed I'd want to be involved again, like nothing had changed. You're strong, they kept saying. You bounced back like a champ. But sometimes I just wanted to scream. I didn't bounce. I shattered. And now I'm just taping myself back together every morning. Even Daniel, gentle, careful Daniel, didn't always get it. One night, he invited me to a small dinner with some of his friends. Doctors, mostly. The kind who wore wool coats and debated wine pairings. Just say no pressure and mean it, I told him as I stood in front of my closet, staring at clothes that didn't feel like mine anymore. He raised both hands. No pressure. Honestly. I don't know how to be that woman right now. You don't have to be anyone but yourself. I looked at him. You don't even know who that is yet. He didn't push. He just sat on the edge of the bed, watched Harlow through the corner of a slipper, and said softly, well, then I'll wait, till you figure it out. Thanksgiving that year was weird. Normally we hosted. Ronan carved the turkey with obnoxious flair, pretending he was Gordon Ramsay, while I managed everything else, the sides, the desserts, the playlist, the drunk cousin trying to talk politics. This time, it was just me, the kids, and Tasha at her place. We had rotisserie chicken from Publix, boxed mashed potatoes, and a pumpkin pie that Tasha accidentally dropped and tried to reconstruct with whipped cream and blind faith. And you know what? It was perfect. We laughed. We told stories. Maya played Billie Holiday on her phone and swore it was vintage vibes. Colin ate 3 servings and passed out on the couch. At one point, Tasha raised her glass and said, to being alive. And to not being stuck with a-holes. I choked on my wine. December brought snow. Not much, just enough to coat the rooftops and make the streets sparkle at night. One morning, I stood in the driveway with my coffee, wrapped in my old hospital fleece, and watched Harlow chase nothing through the yard. I hadn't spoken to Ronan since the grocery store. Until that night. I was folding laundry when the doorbell rang. It was past 9 and I nearly didn't open it. But something told me it wasn't a neighbor needing sugar. It was him. He looked exhausted. Eyes rimmed red. Cheeks sallow. No Chloe in sight. I didn't know where else to go, he said quietly. I crossed my arms. Why are you here? He hesitated, glanced back at his car, then looked at me again. My dad had a stroke. This morning. I blinked. I'm sorry. He asked for you. That knocked the air out of me. For me. He always liked you more. I leaned against the doorframe. I'm not sure what you want me to do, Ronan. I don't know either. There was a long silence. Snow started to fall again, light and slow. You didn't just come here because of your dad, I said. He nodded once, eyes glassy. I keep looking for something that feels like home. And I can't find it. I swallowed hard. You burned that house down, Ronan. There's nothing left here for you. He nodded again. I know. Then he walked away. I didn't tell the kids. Not right away. I didn't know what to say. I wasn't even sure how I felt. Pity? Sadness? Resentment? Probably all of it. But a few days later, Maya came into my room holding her phone. Dad called, she said. I sat up straighter. Yeah? He wants to do Christmas Eve at his place. Just for a couple hours. I studied her face. Do you want to go? She chewed her lip. I think I need to see him. But I don't know if I want to. That's fair. Colin didn't want to go at all. He didn't even call me when you were in the hospital, he muttered. He can sit with his new furniture and think about that. So that's what we did. Maya went for 2 hours. She came back quieter than usual. Said he cried, gave her a bracelet, asked her to be patient with him. I told him patience isn't really my thing, she said with a shrug. But I could tell it rattled her. Christmas morning was just us again. We opened presents in pajamas, ate cinnamon rolls out of a can, and Harlow tore open every gift like she paid for it herself. I felt peaceful, like maybe I was on the other side of something, not healed, but healing. Daniel dropped by later that afternoon, brought a tin of his mom's cookies and a gift wrapped in brown paper with hand-drawn stars. Inside was a simple bracelet with the word Anchor engraved on a small silver plate. You've been one for a lot of people, he said. You deserve to have one, too. I didn't cry. Not then. But later that night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling and let the tears come. Not because I was sad, but because for the first time in a long, long time, I felt safe. By January, life had a new rhythm. I found myself actually enjoying silence again. The absence of Ronan's constant disapproval, the absence of pretending. I went grocery shopping without flinching at frozen peas. I read books and forgot to check my phone. I said no when I needed to, said yes when I wanted to. And one afternoon, after a long shift, Daniel met me at the hospital entrance with 2 coffees and a question. I know you're not ready for labels or definitions, he said. But would you want to come meet my sister next weekend? I stared at him. Just dinner, he added. No pressure. I paused, searching my gut for panic or hesitation. There was none. Yeah, I said. I think I'd like that. February rolled in with sleet and gray skies, and for the first time in years, I didn't hate Valentine's Day. I didn't love it, either, but it didn't sting like it used to. Daniel and I were seeing each other more. Nothing dramatic. No declarations or promises. Just slow, steady companionship. He made me laugh. Listened when I vented. Never told me to calm down. And he had a gentle way of reminding me I was still a woman, not just a mother or an ex-wife or a recovering patient. But I hadn't forgotten what Ronan did, not just to me, but to our family, to my sense of worth, to the years I spent keeping a marriage alive by sheer willpower while he treated me like wallpaper. And what finally pushed me over the edge? A text. From Chloe. Yep. I was folding laundry one evening, Maya reading on the couch, Colin blasting something on his headphones, when my phone buzzed. Chloe, hey Marla. I know this is weird, but I wanted to talk. Can we meet? Please. I stared at the screen, stunned. What the hell? I muttered. Maya peeked up. What's wrong? I handed her the phone. Her eyebrows shot up. No. Nope. Hard pass. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. Something about the tone felt desperate. So I replied. Me. Why? Chloe, it's about Ronan. And some other things. I promise I'm not trying to start anything. I really need to talk to you. The next day, I met her at a diner. Neutral ground. Broad daylight. I wore my scrubs, just in case I needed an excuse to leave. She looked thinner. Anxious. Nervous fingers around her coffee cup. Thanks for coming, she said quietly. Get to it, I said. I wasn't in the mood for small talk. She exhaled. He told me you were controlling. That you were cold. That the marriage was dead long before I came along. And I believed him. I stayed silent. He said you didn't care about him. That you were obsessed with work. That he was just waiting until the kids were older to leave. I raised an eyebrow. And yet, you thought it was a great idea to date a married man? I was stupid, she whispered. But I'm not anymore. She reached into her purse and pulled out a folder. Thick. Tabbed. With printed emails and spreadsheets. What's this? It's everything, she said. The offshore accounts. The duplicate business expenses. Some shady real estate deals under his firm's name, but not in the books. My mouth went dry. Why are you giving me this? Because I found out the hard way that he lies to everyone, she said, voice cracking. He proposed to me last month. I said yes. Then I found out he's been seeing someone else on the side. And in turn, I blinked. I didn't want revenge, she said. I wanted closure. But now? Now I want him to feel just a fraction of what we felt. I leaned back in my seat. Let out a long, slow breath. You're damn right. Tasha knew a guy. Of course she did. His name was Vince. Former IRS investigator turned forensic accountant. He took one look at Chloe's folder and said, oh, this is gold. This is let's ruin his next 5 years kind of gold. Ronan had made a lot of money over the years. But apparently, he'd been skimming, laundering, and ducking taxes on more than just side projects. With the right pressure, the right people looking, it could get him disbarred. Or at the very least, stripped of everything he thought made him important. I didn't even feel guilty. Let him scramble. Let him spend his days in courtrooms, not as a lawyer, but as a defendant. When the audit hit his firm, I didn't hear from him for weeks. Then one morning, I was sipping tea on the porch when he pulled up in a different car, an older sedan, not the luxury SUV he used to lord over the rest of us. He walked up slow. No suit. No briefcase. Just a man who looked like life had chewed him up and spit out the bones. You did this, he said. I looked at him, calm. Did what? He held up a letter. The firm's under investigation. The IRS. The Bar Association. Do you know what that means for me? You'll have more free time, I said. You always said you needed that. He actually looked like he might cry. You're not who I thought you were. No, I said, standing up, I'm not who you thought I was. I'm who I was before I bent myself out of shape trying to please you. He didn't respond. I tilted my head. And Chloe? Turns out she's not an idiot. Just young. But she learned. He stared at me like I was a stranger. And I guess I was now. Goodbye, Ronan. He walked away without another word. A few weeks later, the firm cut ties with him. The bar investigation was ongoing. His assets were frozen pending financial review. And according to Tasha, who was very much still following Chloe on Instagram, he'd moved into a rental condo downtown and was working as a consultant until things clear up. Things weren't going to clear up. Life after revenge is funny. People expect you to throw confetti or sip champagne. But really, it's just quiet. A good, clean, satisfying quiet. I didn't broadcast what I did. I didn't need to. Karma had a clipboard and a timeline, and she'd simply needed my signature. Meanwhile, I was starting a new life. With new boundaries. A dog who still peed when excited. A daughter applying to schools with a fire in her belly. A son who grunted a little less and hugged a little more. And Daniel. We were still slow. Still steady. But I let him in now. Into the parts of me I'd boarded up and hidden. And he didn't flinch. One night, he said, you don't have to be strong all the time, you know. I looked at him. I'm not. I just got good at pretending. He took my hand. You don't have to pretend with me. So I didn't. Revenge isn't always fire and fury. Sometimes, it's the gentle sound of your ex-husband's world collapsing under the weight of his own choices, while you sip tea on your porch, surrounded by everything he never valued. It's knowing that he'll never recover what he lost. And knowing that you'll never need it again.